Hi, my name's Glenn. This is Karen, my wife, and this is our bus. Hey everybody, Glenn Dimon here, working on the bus again, of course. And what else would I be doing but working on the bus? Because working on the bus is absolutely great and it's a lot of fun. So I've got my plastic laminate here. This is Formica brand. Got it from Lowe's. It was about 130 bucks. And this is a 5-foot by 12-foot sheet. So this piece is big enough to do my entire countertop, which is about 9 feet long. And that's inside this green tape area. Then over here, I've got a piece large enough here to do my dining room table. I've got a piece here large enough to do my television cabinet that's going to be between the seats up front. And I'll have enough on the end here to build the vanity top that's going to be in the bedroom. So that way all my countertop surfaces will match. I think I even have enough room across from the little peninsula here that's going to be sticking out by the sink, across that on the other side of the bus, for another small section of countertop. I'm figuring about 2 feet wide and maybe 2 foot by 2 foot square approximately. And I don't know if I'm gonna do that for sure or not, but I will have enough laminate for that too. And if I do that, probably what I would do is make that like a coffee center or something like that, where it's just for coffee, and you know, you can keep all your coffee accessories and stuff there. Maybe have a drawer with a little cabinet underneath or something like that. Because I kind of have this dead space there where it's kind of behind the seating for the dinette. There's quite a large space from that spot over to the first piece of furniture in the living room. So I've got enough room there to build something if I want to. So anyway, so this piece here, I'm cutting it now. I've already laid it out with the cardboard, and I've got it. The countertop, of course, is in this green taped area. So I'm cutting this with it's a scribing tool. Basically, it's a piece of carbide tip material, and it's just a hand cutting tool. There's probably better ways of doing this. These are tools I've had for many years, and I've done a lot of countertops, and I've already kind of started here. And one thing about this is you pretty much just need to score the material, and then you can break it off. But you got to be really careful with it, because if you don't do it right, you'll break it off and it'll just start traveling. So I always try to score it at least 2 or 3 times, kind of get it to snap. A spot like this could be problematic, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out just yet. I'll probably pull all this tape off, and then I'll cut this a little bit deeper here and here, and maybe even just drill a small hole right there. That way it'll keep that from traveling and tearing off into the rest of the material. I have a piece of cardboard under this. Kind of creates a little bit of a softer surface under there. And I'm also cutting it just slightly large because it's going to be routed off anyway. So it should overhang the whole countertop by about 1/4 of an inch or so. Score it maybe 3 or 4 times. At least that's how I've always done it. this laminate before with a table saw, but there's just too many cuts that are all wonky on this, so I'm not going to try that. There may be a better way of doing this, but this is the way I'm doing it. Tape was only for marking purposes. It wasn't for like keeping things from fraying or anything like that. This can work out pretty well. Anyway, so here's Karen with our little puppy. There's little Molly.
Little Tuesday.
She's our little baby.
Yep, she's our
Molly.
traveling dog. Hi, Molly, you going with us? My baby.
Anyway, Karen came out to see what it looks like.
I might break the camera.
Okay, so I've got the piece inside the bus here, and looks like it'll work good. I need to trim the end off down there, but by the time it's trimmed off, that'll go up inside the window area, and this will go back just the right distance, so it looks like this is going to work just fine. Anyway, so we'll see how the rest of that goes. Okay, so I'm getting ready to actually apply the laminate to the countertops and to the other tops that I've built. So I've got several tops here now. Of course, I've got my large countertop here, which is underneath this cardboard. And I've got this vanity top here that goes in the bedroom for my wife to do her makeup and things like that. This piece of laminate here is cut for that. So I'll laminate that up. That'll go on top. And then I've got this piece here ready to go, which is just another section of countertop that's going to go across from the sink up against the wheelchair door wall. And so this will be just a countertop big enough just for coffee, and I might just go ahead and put the microwave above this. So this will be a section of countertop that'll be removable in case I need to get into the wheelchair door and maybe open that door up and get some kind of large piece of furniture in the bus or something like that. So then this piece of countertop here is the leaf to the table, the leaf that'll insert into the table there, and it's ready to go. And then this piece here is the piece that is the cabinet for the television that'll eventually have a slot cut in it, and the TV will come up out of it with one of those TV elevators. Anyway, and so I've got the corners of all these sanded round, so by the time I router off my 45-degree, it'll be nice and round around these corners here. All the corners are round, of course not this piece here, but this piece are rounded pretty much uniformly. This piece over here is rounded off, just so they're not sharp edges for the grandkids and things like that. And same thing with the kitchen countertop here, which is under here. So I'm going to go ahead and laminate these pieces on, and this large one I'm probably going to need some help on. It's a pretty good sized piece. The idea here is you need something laid out on here so you can put the glue on both sides, let it dry to where it's no longer tacky, and then you got to take that sheet, lay it over the top of this piece, and then slowly take your shims out from in between so that you don't accidentally glue it in the wrong place. As soon as that stuff touches, that's why it's called contact cement, because as soon as that stuff touches, then it's glued. So you cannot let the two glues touch each other until you're certain that you have the piece in place. Now, just for now, I'm going to go ahead and do these smaller pieces. These are going to be relatively simple. I'll do some of these and just kind of practice up with that before I do the larger one. When I do the larger one, I'll probably have to have my son come in and help me with flipping that one over. So anyway, so we'll see how that goes. So I've gone over all these edges. It just seems like you go over it all and you just find some new thing on there. But I've got it all leveled out. I've sanded it. Anyway, it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is apply 2 coats of glue to each surface. This one here definitely, because it'll soak in the first coat. This here you can get by with 1 coat, but I just put 2 on each one. So this stuff's pretty toxic. So I've got pretty well a lot of open air here. This shouldn't be a problem. But if you're in any kind of closed quarters, make sure that you got some kind of mask on or ventilation or something. You don't want any sparks or flames anywhere near this stuff, because it'll take off. It'll explode on you. So paint it on nice and even. I haven't done this for probably probably about 20 years, but I used to do it quite a bit when I was a contractor. First coat I don't mind putting on kind of thin, because it's just going to kind of seal that surface anyway. Doesn't need to be real thick, but it does need to have glue on the area for sure. You don't want to have any part of it not have glue on it. And then you don't want a bunch of lumps either. Probably should wear my ventilation mask. I'm gonna grab that before I do the next one. See, here I'm getting kind of some chunks in there. I don't know what's happening there. It's looking pretty good there. Probably works just as good as dumping it on there. Okay, so these pieces are pretty much ready to go. These smaller sections. This here I can touch it and it doesn't come off with my fingers. It doesn't lift. It still has a little sheen to it, which is fine. This is looking really good. These are all looking good. This one over here is looking ready. Well, this one has a little bit yet to go. But these are ready to go. So once you stick the laminate on there, it's good if you have some kind of a roller that you can roll over it to get it pressed down at every square inch. But I don't really have a roller for that. So I'm just going to use a hammer with a block of wood and just give it a good tap all over the place and get it to make good contact throughout the whole surface. You got to make sure once you stick it on that it is exactly where you want it to be. I'll tap this one down in a minute, but I'll give it a good press just with my hands for now. And then it can be routed off immediately, but it doesn't necessarily have to be routed off immediately. As long as it's overhanging all the edges, you can trim it off. And how you trim it off is also very, very important. How you operate the router, the direction that the bit is spinning to the direction that you're actually operating the router and pushing it into the work. So we'll look at that when it's time to actually router all this stuff off. I should be doing this a little more carefully. That works. Also, you can tell if there's any air bubbles under this just by the sound of it. You can hear it if it isn't fully adhered. And this sounds really good so far. So you pretty much want to do that over the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and just shut the camera off for now, but I'll get it going again when I'm routing off the edges, and we'll see how the finished product comes out. So when you're routering, the bit is turning clockwise from this perspective. So you want it to bite into the material in this direction as you're going from right to left. If you do it the other way, then your material is going to be pulling out away from the wood as you go. So you want it to go right to left with the bit spinning clockwise. So I've got these all routed off first
You
deal.
can smell the glue.
Yeah, I still got to 45 it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that one's ready to glue if
Let's stick it on there.
okay, well, it'll take me a little bit to put the glue on.
Put the glue on now.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do this.
All right, let me get rid of these exactly what I want it and then just start pulling them out.
Oh, okay. We could trim that one in half again, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or I'll just freehand it. Okay, so I've got these countertops pretty much laminated up and ready for a finish on the edges. And so the other ones are inside the bus. So I'm gonna go see how those are looking here. So inside the bus here, I've got the large countertop completed. And I've got the edges all sanded, holes plugged. It's ready for a finish. I'm not sure what finish I'm gonna put on. I think I'm just gonna probably just do a tung oil. I don't like doing a plastic like a polyurethane because I've seen in RVs where that stuff starts to kind of peel off after a while. So anyway, so the range will go here and something like that. So I'll have about a little over a foot from the wall to the range, and there'll be the range, and then I'll have a couple of feet over to the sink. The sink will be at this angle here, and then I've got this little kind of a peninsula sticking out here for the sink. Right across from this, in front of this wheelchair door, is where my coffee thing will be, and that'll have to be removable so that I can, in case I ever have to move something big in and out of the bus, I can always open that door for that. So here's the table. Again, this isn't completely finished yet. It's pretty close. I still got to get my alignment hardware in there so the leaf will line up with the table. But this came out pretty good. I really like the way all this came out. So if I had this to do again, this did have a few mistakes in it. One major mistake was when we did this large countertop here, I put all those sticks under there so I could slide them out and lay the laminate down. And the problem is once this laminate is in contact with the other half, then it is stuck and you can't fix it. So besides using some of the sticks going across, I also used a couple of pieces of laminate here on the end because I just didn't have enough sticks. And so those worked well, except for one of them was shorter than the rest, and I couldn't see it when we were pulling the sticks out. So we pulled them all out, laid down the whole piece of laminate, come down to the end, and there was a thin piece of laminate still under about right here, about 8 inches from the end. So I tried to peel it up, or try to lift it up. I kind of lifted it up part way. I could see it, but I tried to lift it up some more and it ended up breaking off. And so I had to completely order a whole another 5-foot by 12-foot sheet of laminate here to be able to finish this countertop. So this has been through tested, yet so as through fire. So that set me back about a week and many hours because we ended up peeling all of the laminate off of this piece of wood and removing the glue as much as that I could. And I finally, just last night, we were able to put all this together here after a week. And of course I had to order the laminate. So the 48-inch by 8-foot piece was too short because you can only get it in 48 inches by 8 foot or 60 inches by 12 foot. So I ended up having to get a whole nother 60-inch by 12-foot piece, which is what I originally got to do all my laminate. So I ended up having to completely double my expense on this thing. And by the time you do that kind of stuff, it gets very discouraging. And I wish I would have just maybe even just done something completely different here. But now it's ready for a finish on the edge. And even though it was kind of discouraging, it is what it is. So I do like the way it came out, though. It came out looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. And the table here works really well. This came out really good. I couldn't be more pleased with this. So that's pretty good there. I'll make some kind of a holder for that leaf or put it in a closet or something like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the hole for the range, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the hole for the sink. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm just finishing up this laminate here. I still have, it's not like it's completely finished. I still have to put my finish on the edge, the maple here, and I'll probably use a tung oil on that, I'm thinking. And I've got the sink hole cut out, and I've got the stove sitting in place. That's not actually connected yet in the back, but I've got it fastened in. I can just take the screws out, slide it out. And so basically what I've got here is I've got about 14 inches on this side of the stove. I've got about 2 feet or a little more from the stove to the sink. And then I've got about 1.5 feet from the edge of the sink to the end of the countertop. So this really worked out pretty well. It's really a big sink, but I like big sinks. There's plenty of counter space here. I probably could have made this whole thing about 1 foot longer pretty easily, slid the sink down even further, whatever, but now that it's there, it's just fine. And if I'd have made it 1 foot longer, then I probably would have been thinking I could have made it 1 foot shorter. So I just can't ever really seem to make up my mind. But this came out pretty well. I'm pleased with it. I ended up getting this gray stone range. I was trying to get a Rec Pro, but couldn't get one because I guess they quit making them or something. I don't know. So I was able to find this one online, and it's probably made in China. The sink is made in USA. So that's all I'm going to have for the laminate here. I've got a lot of stuff here to do yet. The sink, basically the way I figured the sink in here is the bowl of the sink just comes close to the cabinet back inside here, if you can see that. And so that way the corner of the sink ends up going back past the corner or past the plane of the drawers, but it doesn't matter. The drawers don't hit anything, and so it's good. So I think I utilized the space underneath as well as I could to get this sink in here. And anyway, so I've still got to fasten it down. I'd like to put one of those big loop-de-loop faucets in here like I have in the house with the spring and all that stuff. It's going to be too tall because I want to have cabinet space, so I'm going to have cabinets go across here. So I'm probably just going to get a regular faucet that'll come up, and maybe the kind where the head pulls out or something like that. So, and I've got the plumbing underneath ready to go. So this is all pretty much ready. The gas range, I just have to connect the flex connector. The water heater, I got to connect its flex connector. Then the furnace over here. So anyway, so that's all I'm going to have on this. Unfortunately, my trip to Colorado Springs for our church conference was canceled. So they have that every year except for the last couple years because of COVID. And so that got canceled. So I've been pressing to get this thing done in order to leave, be able to leave by about the 25th of July. So that got canceled. So I'm probably still going to do a trip, or I'm definitely still going to do a trip. I just don't know if it's going to be in the bus or not, but I will be going to Texas, and if I can take the bus to Texas, I'll certainly do that. So we'll see how it goes. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves.